She adjusted her simple black uniform and touched the Earth insignia on her shoulder. Taking a deep breath, she prepared for her first official day as security advisor to Empress Kylara of the Zetharian Empire. Nobody wanted her here. That much was clear from the moment she stepped off the transport ship. The Zetharians were an ancient species with technology far beyond Earth. They stood 7 to 8 feet tall, with 4 arms, blue iridescent skin, and compound eyes that missed nothing. Their empire spanned 12 star systems, and they had only recently opened diplomatic relations with Earth. Olivia had been sent as part of the security exchange program, though she knew the Zetharians had expected someone else. Someone bigger. Someone more impressive. A chime at her door indicated her escort had arrived. She opened it to find a Zetharian female in gleaming armor. Her skin was darker blue than most, almost purple, and her 6 violet eyes regarded Olivia with obvious disdain. Commander, Vex, head of the Royal Guard, the alien said, her voice clicking through the translator. I will escort you to the throne room. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not approach the Empress without permission. Do not make sudden movements. Olivia nodded. Professional and respectful. Despite the condescension as they walked through the crystal corridors of the palace, Olivia noticed the architecture designed for beings much larger than herself. Everything was massive and imposing. Guards stood at every intersection, all female as was tradition in the royal palace of Zenith. Commander Vex spoke without looking at Olivia. Our Empress insisted on having a human security advisor despite my objections. I do not understand what your kind could teach us about protection. We have guarded the royal family for 10,000 years. Olivia kept her expression neutral. Sometimes a fresh perspective helps. She said simply. Vex made a clicking sound that the translator did not convert. Olivia assumed it was something uncomplimentary. The throne room was enormous, with ceilings that soared 100 feet high, and columns of shimmering crystal guards lined the walls. All female, all at least 7 feet tall and heavily armed. At the far end, on a raised platform, sat Empress Kylara. Her skin was the lightest blue, almost luminescent, and all 4 of her arms were adorned with ceremonial armor and jewels. Her compound eyes shimmered with intelligence as she watched Olivia approach. Commander Vex dropped to one knee, and Olivia followed. Suit your Majesty, the human security advisor as requested. Vex set her tone, making it clear this was not her idea. Rise, Empress. Kylara said. Her voice was surprisingly soft, though the translator gave it a metallic quality. Olivia stood, meeting the gaze of the Empress despite the difference in height. So you are the human soldier with the impressive combat record? The Empress said. I expected someone larger. Olivia had heard this many times before. Size in everything, Your Majesty, she replied, with a small smile. Several guards shifted uncomfortably, but the Empress made a sound that might have been a laugh indeed. Tell me, Olivia Carter, why did you accept this assignment? Most humans avoid our worlds. Our gravity is stronger than yours, our atmosphere thinner. Many find it uncomfortable. Olivia had spent months in adaptation chambers preparing for this assignment. Her muscles had been enhanced, her lungs modified. She would never be as strong as a Zetharian, but she could function on their world without difficulty. I wanted to learn from the best, Your Majesty, she said honestly. The Zetharian Royal Guard is legendary, and I believe our species can benefit from working together. The Empress studied her for a long moment. An admirable sentiment, she said finally, though I suspect many of my people disagree. She gestured to Commander Vex, who stood rigidly beside Olivia. Commander, you will include Olivia Carter in all security briefings and patrols. She will have access to our protocols and training facilities. Vex stiffened visibly. Your Majesty, with all respect, the human cannot possibly understand our methods. Our technology is beyond their comprehension. Our physical abilities far superior. The Empress raised one hand, silencing the commander. The decision is made, Commander, she said, her tone brooking no argument. We have relied on the same security protocols for centuries. Perhaps it is time for a fresh perspective. As the human said, Vex bowed her head, though Olivia could see the commander's mandibles clicking in agitation. Yes, Your Majesty. Over the next few days, Olivia was given a crash course in royal security. She observed the guard rotations, memorized the palace layout, and studied the protection protocols. The Zetharians used advanced technology, including personal shield generators and weapons that could stun or kill depending on the setting. Their physical strength was impressive, but Olivia noticed they relied on it too much. Sometimes they overlooked subtler threats. Commander Vex remained coldly professional, assigning Olivia to secondary positions, always under the supervision of a Zetharian guard. The other guards largely ignored her, though a few watched her with curiosity. It was during the royal banquet on her 5th day that everything changed. The palace was filled with dignitaries from all 12 systems. Empress Kylara sat at the head table with her closest advisors. Olivia stood along the wall with the secondary guard watching. Something caught her attention: a server carrying ceremonial blades for the traditional knife dance. The server's movements seemed off, slightly too stiff, too focused. Her eyes never left the Empress. Olivia scanned the room looking for Commander Vex, but the commander was across the hall speaking with another guard. No time. The server began approaching the head table, blades gleaming. As she got within 10 feet of the Empress, her posture shifted subtly, weight moving forward, grip tightening on the ceremonial weapons. Olivia moved without thinking, pushing through the crowd. She launched herself at the server just as the alien raised a blade toward the Empress. They crashed to the floor, Olivia using her body weight and momentum to offset the alien's superior strength. Server fought with unexpected strength, confirming Olivia's suspicion this was no ordinary palace worker. Olivia locked the alien's wrist in a joint manipulation technique developed specifically for Zetharian physiology, twisting until the blade clattered. The floor guards swarmed around them. Commander Vex arriving seconds later, her weapon drawn. The would-be assassin was quickly subdued and dragged away. Vex looked at Olivia, who was catching her breath. "How did you know?" she asked, her voice less hostile than before. Body language, Olivia explained. "Everyone has tells when they're about to attack, even your species." The Empress approached, surrounded by guards. She looked down at Olivia with new interest. "You risked your life to save mine," she said. "Why?" Olivia stood straighter despite the bruises forming from the brief struggle. "It's my job, Your Majesty," she said simply. The Empress nodded. "Then perhaps Commander Vex was hasty in her assessment of your usefulness." Later that evening, Olivia was summoned to a security briefing. The assassin had been interrogated but revealed little. She was not speaking and bore no identification. Preliminary scans suggest she was enhanced. Commander Vex reported her muscle density and reaction time exceed normal parameters. Could she be working with others? Olivia asked. Commander Vex clicked her mandibles. "This is the first assassination attempt on Empress Kylara in 300 years. She said it is an isolated incident." Olivia wasn't convinced. With respect, Commander, anyone willing to attempt such an attack would have backup plans. She said, "I suggest increasing security and reviewing all palace personnel." Vex stared at her for a long moment. "We will take your suggestion under advisement," the commander said finally. As Olivia returned to her quarters that night, she felt eyes watching her. She turned quickly, catching a glimpse of a shadow disappearing around a corner. She had made an impression today, but she had also made herself a target. Sleep did not come easily that night now. "Let me create part 2 for you." 3 days passed since the assassination attempt. Security throughout the palace had been increased, but Olivia noticed the Zetharian guards were returning to their routine patterns. Their species lived for centuries, and they fell back into comfortable habits quickly. Olivia had been invited to more security briefings, though Commander Vex still kept her at arm's length. The commander had reluctantly acknowledged Olivia's quick action during the banquet, but remained convinced it was mere luck. The morning brought a summons to the royal kitchens. The Empress was hosting a diplomatic function that evening and wanted security to inspect all food preparation. Olivia arrived to find several Zetharian guards already present, Commander Vex among them. The royal kitchens were enormous, designed to feed hundreds of elite Zetharians. The staff worked efficiently, their forearms moving in blur of activity as they prepared exotic dishes. "What can a human possibly know about Zetharian food preparation?" Lieutenant Sira asked. She was Vex's second in command, a tall, slender Zetharian with unusually patterned skin. Her tone was less hostile than most, more curious. "Livia smiled. Nothing about the preparation, everything about the process. Security isn't always about obvious threats. Sometimes it's about patterns and deviations. Commander Vex made that clicking sound again, but gestured for Olivia to proceed with her inspection. Olivia moved through the kitchen, watching not just the food but the people, their interactions, body language, and routines. She noticed how certain staff avoided eye contact, how others seemed too eager to please. She observed which dishes were prepared in view and which were made in separate areas. One cook caught her attention, an older Zetharian, who kept glancing at a particular tray of delicacies intended for the Empress table. Olivia casually moved closer, examining the vibrant purple fruits arranged in an intricate pattern. Something seemed off about their color, just slightly different from the others being prepared. She leaned closer, inhaling deeply. Her enhanced senses detected something her training identified immediately. Commander Vex. She called, keeping her voice steady. The commander approached, mandibles clicking in irritation. What is it, human? These fruits, Olivia said. They contain traces of nexalin. The commander stiffened. Nexalin was a rare compound, harmless to most species but deadly to the Zetharian royal line, whose biology was slightly different from the common population. Impossible, Vex said. All ingredients are scanned before preparation. Olivia met her gaze, then scanned these again. The commander hesitated, then produced a small device, passing it over the fruits. It chirped, an alarm immediately. The older cook tried to slip away, but guards blocked his exit. Olivia's enhanced senses had saved the Empress a second time. The cook was taken for questioning, but like the first assassin, revealed little. Later that evening, as the diplomatic function proceeded without incident, Commander Vex approached Olivia, who stood watching from a corner of the grand hall. How did you detect the nexalin? The commander asked. Our scanners barely registered it even when we knew to look. Olivia shrugged. Part of my preparation for this assignment included sensory enhancements, she explained. My olfactory sensitivity is roughly 8 times that of an average human. Vex studied her with all 6 eyes. Your people modified you for this mission. Not just for this mission, Olivia said. The Earth Security Force often uses targeted genetic enhancements for specialized missions. My modifications are permanent. Something like respect flickered across the commander's alien features. You altered yourself permanently to serve better. Olivia nodded. The commander seemed to consider this. Perhaps there is more to humans than I initially believed, she said, before moving away to continue her patrol. The next morning, Olivia was summoned to a private meeting with the Empress. She was escorted to a small garden hidden deep within the palace, a place few were allowed to enter. Empress Kylara sat beside a fountain of silvery liquid that flowed upward against gravity. She gestured for Olivia to sit on a bench, sized for Zetharians, which made her feel even smaller than usual. You have saved my life twice now, Olivia Carter, the Empress said, her voice without the formal tones she used in public. Your species continues to surprise me. Thank you, Your Majesty, Olivia replied. The Empress studied her. You must wonder why I insisted on having a human security advisor when my own people opposed the idea. The question had indeed been on Olivia's mind. I serve where I am assigned, Your Majesty, she said diplomatically. The Empress made a sound that translated as amusement, diplomatic as well as observant. She said, I requested a human because I believe my empire has grown complacent. We have ruled for thousands of years without serious challenges. Our security relies on traditions and technologies that have remained largely unchanged for centuries. She leaned forward slightly. But the galaxy is changing. Your species has emerged rapidly, advancing, developing new ideas, new approaches. I wanted that perspective. She continued. And it seems my instincts were correct. You saw threats my own guards missed. Olivia considered this. The Zetharian guard is impressive. Your Majesty, she said. They are strong, disciplined, devoted, but they expect threats to come in familiar forms. The Empress nodded. Exactly, she said. And now I fear we face an unfamiliar enemy. Someone is making coordinated attempts on my life. These are not random attacks. They are carefully planned. Does Commander Vex know your concerns? Olivia asked. The Empress hesitated. The commander is loyal beyond question, she said, but she is also traditional. She believes these attacks are isolated incidents. Olivia chose her next words carefully with respect. Your Majesty, 2 assassination attempts in 1 week. After centuries of peace suggest organization and patience, and you believe there will be more attacks? Olivia nodded. Until we find who is behind them. Yes. The Empress was silent for a moment. I am hosting a ceremony in the throne room tomorrow, she said. Finally, all 12 system governors will be present. It cannot be postponed or relocated. A perfect opportunity for another attempt. Olivia thought I would like you to coordinate with Commander Vex on security. The Empress continued. Though I suspect she will not welcome your input. Olivia smiled slightly. I can be persuasive. Your Majesty. The Empress returned to her quarters while Olivia sought out Commander Vex. She found the commander in the security center reviewing guard rotations for the upcoming ceremony. Commander Vex did not look up as Olivia entered. The Empress informed me you would be joining the security planning, she said, her tone neutral. Neither approval nor disapproval. Olivia approached the holographic display showing the throne room and surrounding corridors. Have you considered that these attacks might be connected, she asked, studying the displayed guard positions. Connected to what? To each other? To something larger. 2 attempts after centuries of peace suggests planning, Commander. A 3rd attempt is likely. Vex turned her full attention to Olivia. You believe someone will try again tomorrow, I would, Olivia said. If I were planning to assassinate the Empress, I would strike during a major ceremony when there are many visitors, many unknowns. The security is stretched. Thin Vex clicked her mandibles. You think like an assassin. Olivia met her gaze. To stop one, you have to think like one. That night, as Olivia returned to her quarters, she noticed a shadow again. Someone watching from a distance. She pretended not to notice, continuing her normal routine, but inside her quarters she prepared. Instead of sleeping, she reviewed the palace schematics, memorizing every passage and doorway. Tomorrow would be dangerous. She could feel it. Now, for part 3. The day of the ceremony arrived. The palace buzzed with activity as dignitaries from all 12 systems gathered. Servants rushed through corridors carrying decorations and refreshments. Guards stood at every entrance checking identifications and scanning for weapons. Olivia had spent the morning with Commander Vex finalizing security arrangements. The commander had been more receptive to her suggestions than expected, agreeing to additional scanner checkpoints and random security sweeps now. Olivia stood in the throne room watching as it filled with Zetharian nobility. Their towering blue forms moved gracefully through the space, conversing in clicking tones that the translators struggled to keep up with. She noticed the subtle distinctions in skin patterns and eye colors that indicated different planetary origins. Commander Vex approached, her mandibles tight with tension. All guards are in position, she reported. The Empress will arrive in 10 minutes. Olivia nodded, scanning the room once more. The servant entrances, she asked. Are they secured? Double guards on each, Vex confirmed. And the air filtration systems have been locked down. No one can introduce toxins through the ventilation. Good thinking, Olivia said, genuinely impressed. Vex made that clicking sound that Olivia now recognized as something between amusement and acknowledgement. Your suggestion, actually, she admitted. Trumpets sounded announcing the arrival of the Empress. The crowd parted, creating a central aisle as Empress Kylara entered the throne room. She wore ceremonial armor that gleamed with embedded crystals. All 4 of her arms were adorned with symbols of her authority. Her compound eyes swept the room as she moved toward the raised dais where her throne waited. Olivia watched not the Empress but the crowd, looking for any signs of threat. Nothing seemed immediately suspicious, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Her enhanced senses were picking up something. A subtle change in the air, perhaps. The ceremony began with traditional speeches from system governors. Each approached the throne, knelt and renewed their pledge of loyalty to the Empire. The ritual had remained unchanged for thousands of years. Halfway through the third governor's speech, Olivia noticed a strange shimmer near one of the crystal columns, something almost invisible, like heat distortion in air. She glanced at the Zetharian guards, but none seemed to notice. She moved casually toward Commander Vex, who stood near the Empress. "Something by the eastern column," she whispered. "Do you see it?" Vex looked subtly in that direction, her compound eyes focusing. "I see nothing." Olivia trusted her instincts. "Activate your energy scanners," she suggested. The commander hesitated, then touched a control on her armor. A heads-up display appeared before her eyes. Her posture stiffened immediately. "Active camouflage technology," she hissed. "Only military units have access to that." Before they could react, the shimmer moved suddenly, rushing toward the throne. Olivia shouted a warning as she launched herself forward. The shimmer solidified into a Zetharian assassin armed with an energy weapon aimed directly at the Empress. Time seemed to slow as Olivia's combat enhancements kicked in, boosting her reaction speed and awareness. She intercepted the assassin, tackling the much larger alien. The energy weapon discharged, hitting the ceiling, and sending crystal shards raining down. The assassin was incredibly strong. Enhanced like the others, Olivia struggled to keep the weapon pointed away from the Empress. Guards swarmed around them but hesitated to fire with Olivia so close. Using a leverage technique designed specifically for Zetharian physiology, Olivia managed to twist the assassin's arm. The weapon clattered to the floor. Commander Vex leapt forward, her own weapon drawn. The assassin, realizing capture was imminent, pressed a hidden switch on their armor self-destruct. Olivia recognized the energy signature building instantly. Releasing the assassin, she shouted, "Get back!" Vex understood, immediately pulling Olivia away, as guards created a protective circle around the Empress. The assassin convulsed, once then disintegrated in a flash of energy, leaving nothing but ash. The throne room erupted into chaos. Guards escorted the Empress to safety while others secured the dignitaries. The ceremony was abandoned as the palace went into lockdown later in the secure command center. Olivia stood with Commander Vex and Lieutenant Syra, reviewing security footage. 3 attempts in 10 days, Vex said, her voice grim. "They are becoming more sophisticated." Olivia studied the recordings. The assassin used military-grade technology, she noted. Where would they get that? Syra shifted uncomfortably. "There have been reports of missing equipment from the central armory," she admitted. But nothing confirmed. Olivia looked up sharply. "Why? Wasn't this mentioned before?" Vex clicked her mandibles. "It was considered an internal military matter. Not relevant to palace security." Olivia controlled her frustration. "Everything is relevant when the Empress is being targeted," she said. "Someone is helping these assassins. Someone with access to military technology and palace routines." Vex and Syra exchanged looks. "You suspect an insider?" Lieutenant Syra said, her tone careful. Olivia met their gaze. 3 different assassins, 3 different methods, all failing. Because of last-minute detection, not because our security stopped them. "Yes, I suspect an insider." The room fell silent. Her use of our had not gone unnoticed. Commander Vex straightened to her full height. "If there is a traitor among the Royal Guard, they will be found and punished," she declared. "But we must proceed carefully. Accusations without proof could disrupt the entire security apparatus." Olivia nodded. "We need to control information. From now on, security plans should be compartmentalized. Only those who absolutely need to know should have complete information." Vex agreed. "I will speak with the Empress. You will assist Lieutenant Syra in reviewing all guard personnel." After Vex left, Olivia turned to Lieutenant Syra. "How long have you served?" "With Commander Vex?" she asked. Keeping her tone conversational, Syra seemed surprised by the question. "Nearly 50 years," she replied. "We trained together as cadets, and the rest of the Royal Guard." "How are they selected?" "Only the most loyal, the most skilled. Warriors are chosen." Syra explained. "Each must pass rigorous tests of both body and mind. Most serve for their entire lives, which makes the idea of a traitor all the more troubling." Olivia observed. Syra clicked her mandibles in agreement. "Have you noticed any unusual behavior among the guards?" she asked. "Changes in routine?" Unexpected absences. The lieutenant considered this. Nothing significant, she said, but I will review the duty logs. That evening, Olivia was summoned to the Empress private chambers, a rare honor and responsibility. She was scanned twice before being admitted, finding Empress Kylara without her ceremonial armor, looking almost vulnerable despite her imposing height. The Empress gestured for Olivia to sit. "You believe one of my guards is a traitor," she said without preamble. Olivia chose her words carefully. "I believe someone with intimate knowledge of palace security is helping the assassins." "Yes, Your Majesty." The Empress was silent for a moment. "Commander Vex has served me faithfully for over a century," she said. "Her loyalty is beyond question." Olivia nodded. "I agree, Your Majesty. The commander has demonstrated her commitment repeatedly, but the Empress pressed someone close to us is involved. It appears that way." Olivia admitted, "We need to watch everyone, even those above suspicion." The Empress studied her. "That includes you, Olivia Carter." Olivia met her gaze steadily. "Absolutely, Your Majesty. I would expect nothing less." The Empress seemed satisfied. "You will work directly with Commander Vex from now on," she decided. "No intermediaries, report only to her or to me." "Yes, Your Majesty." As Olivia left the Empress chambers, she felt eyes on her again. She turned quickly, catching a glimpse of a figure retreating around a corner. She followed, quietly, her enhanced senses allowing her to move without sound. The figure disappeared into a rarely used corridor. Olivia hesitated, then continued her pursuit. This might be her chance to catch someone in the act. The corridor ended at a small maintenance room. Olivia pressed her ear against the door, hearing muffled voices inside. She couldn't make out the words but recognized Lieutenant Sirras' distinctive tonal pattern. Carefully, she eased the door open a crack. The maintenance room was dimly lit, but she could see Lieutenant Sirras speaking with a hooded figure. Their conversation was hushed, urgent. Money changed hands, followed by what looked like a data crystal. Olivia watched as Syra concealed the items in her armor. The hooded figure spoke one last time, then slipped through another door. Syra waited a moment before following. Olivia retreated silently. Her heart raced. Lieutenant Syra, second in command of the Royal Guard. Was she the traitor? Or was there an innocent explanation? She needed to tell Commander Vex. But what if Vex was involved too? The commander's words echoed in her mind. Accusations without proof could disrupt the entire security apparatus. She needed evidence, concrete, undeniable proof, and she needed to be careful. Very careful. Now for part 4. Olivia spent the next day observing Lieutenant Syra carefully. The lieutenant performed her duties as usual, coordinating guard rotations and security protocols. Nothing in her behavior suggested treachery, but Olivia had learned long ago that the most dangerous traitors were often the most skilled at appearing loyal. Commander Vex had assigned Olivia to assist with revising the security protocols, a task that gave her access to the duty logs and personnel files. She used this opportunity to review Lieutenant Sirras' recent activities, looking for patterns or anomalies. Something caught her attention. Syrah had adjusted the guard rotations 3 times in the past 2 weeks, each time creating a brief window where certain areas of the palace had reduced security. The changes were subtle enough that Vex hadn't questioned them, but to Olivia's trained eye they stood out. That evening, Olivia requested a private meeting with Commander Vex in the security center. She needed to share her suspicions, but carefully, without making unfounded accusations. The commander arrived precisely on time, her tall form casting a shadow across the holographic displays. "You wished to speak with me, human," she said. Olivia nodded, activating a security screen that would prevent their conversation from being recorded or monitored. "I noticed some anomalies in the guard rotation schedule." She began bringing up the relevant logs. "Look, here and here and here." Each time there was a 5-minute window where the eastern corridor had only 1 guard instead of the standard 2. Vex studied the displays, her mandibles clicking softly. "These are Lieutenant Sirras' adjustments," she noted. "Why would she reduce security in that section?" Olivia brought up a palace schematic. The eastern corridor connects to the service tunnels which lead to the outside. beyond the scanner checkpoints. Understanding dawned in the commander's eyes. "You believe this is how the assassins gained entry. It's possible," Olivia said, "but I need more evidence. Before we confront Lieutenant Syra, we need to be certain." Vex straightened her posture. Defensive. "Syra has served the royal family for decades. I find it difficult to believe she would betray the Empress." Olivia understood the commander's reluctance. The Zetharian concept of loyalty was deeply ingrained, especially among the royal guard. To even consider that one of their own might be a traitor was painful. "I hope I'm wrong," Olivia said sincerely, "but we need to investigate." Vex was silent for a long moment. "What do you propose?" "Set a trap?" Olivia said. "Create a false security protocol. Make it known that the Empress will be moving through the Eastern Corridor tomorrow evening. See who accesses that information and what they do with it." The commander considered this. It could work, but we would need to limit knowledge of the true plan. Only you, me, and the Empress would know the truth. Olivia agreed. Vex clicked her mandibles. "I will speak with Her Majesty." The next day, the false information was planted. Lieutenant Syra was briefed along with several other high-ranking guards. The Empress would supposedly be moving through the Eastern Corridor at precisely 2000 hours to attend a private meeting. In reality, she would remain in her secure chambers. Olivia positioned herself in a hidden alcove near the Eastern Corridor at 1930 hours. Her combat suit allowed her to blend into the shadows, while her enhanced vision gave her a clear view of the area. Commander Vex was stationed nearby, out of sight but in communication through a secure channel. At 1945, Lieutenant Syra appeared. She checked the corridor, then spoke briefly with the guards on duty, ordering them to patrol the adjacent hallway instead, a direct violation of protocol. The guards hesitated but obeyed, leaving the corridor unattended. Once alone, Syra moved to a service panel and entered a code. The wall slid open, revealing a hidden passage that wasn't on any official schematics. A hooded figure emerged, followed by two others. All carried weapons. Syra spoke quickly, pointing down the corridor where the Empress would supposedly appear. The hooded figures nodded, taking up positions. Olivia transmitted to Vex targets in position Eastern Corridor. 5 minutes until intercept. Understood. Vex replied, moving into position. Olivia watched as the assassins prepared their weapons. These were different from previous attempts. More sophisticated, more deadly. She recognized the design: military-grade disruptors capable of penetrating personal shields. The trap was set. Now they needed to spring it. At exactly 2000 hours, a group of guards appeared at the far end of the corridor, escorting a figure in royal robes. Not the Empress, but a volunteer made to appear like her from a distance. The assassins took aim. Olivia gave the signal. Now Commander Vex and a team of elite guards emerged from hidden positions. Weapons ready. Royal Guard, surrender. Vex commanded. The assassins opened fire. The corridor erupted into chaos. Energy weapons discharging against shields. The guards returned fire with stun weapons, trying to capture the assassins alive for questioning. Olivia launched herself toward Lieutenant Syra, who was attempting to escape through the secret passage. Syra turned, firing her weapon. Olivia dodged the blast, using her smaller size and enhanced reflexes to close the distance between them. Syra was stronger, but Olivia had trained specifically for this fighting style, using leverage and momentum against a larger opponent. She managed to knock Syra's weapon away. The lieutenant snarled, lashing out with all four arms. Olivia blocked 2 strikes, took a painful blow to the ribs, then swept Syra's legs out from under her. They crashed to the floor, grappling for control. Syra getting the upper hand, momentarily pinning Olivia with her superior weight. "Why betray your Empress?" Olivia gasped, struggling to break free. "You understand nothing, human." Syra hissed. "The Empress is weak. Her peace initiatives with inferior species like yours threaten our dominance. The Empire must remain pure." Olivia spotted Syra's fallen weapon within reach. She stretched her fingers, barely grasping it, then twisted, firing a stun blast directly into the lieutenant's chest. Syra convulsed, then collapsed unconscious. In the corridor, the guards had subdued the other assassins, though one had activated a self-destruct, similar to the previous attempt. Commander Vex approached, helping Olivia to her feet. "You were right," she said, her voice a mix of anger and respect. "Syra betrayed us all." Olivia winced, holding her injured ribs. "Not just Syra. This goes deeper. There are others involved." The prisoners were taken for questioning, while Syra was placed in a high-security cell. The Empress was informed of the successful operation and requested Olivia's presence immediately despite her injuries. Empress Kylara received her in the secure command center surrounded by loyal guards. Her expression was grave as Olivia reported what had happened. Lieutenant Syra admitted to being part of a purist faction. Olivia explained, "They oppose your diplomatic initiatives, especially the alliance with Earth. They believe opening the Empire to outside influence weakens it." The Empress listened silently. "How widespread is this faction?" she asked finally. "We don't know yet." Olivia admitted. "The captured assassins are being interrogated, but Syra suggested there are others in positions of power." Military Political Commander Vex stood rigidly nearby, her mandibles tight with anger. "We will find them all." "Your Majesty," she promised, "every traitor will face justice." The Empress turned to Olivia. "You are injured," she observed. "Nothing serious, Your Majesty," Olivia assured her. "Just bruised ribs." The Empress gestured to a medical officer who approached with a healing device. The pain in Olivia's side immediately lessened. "You have proven yourself beyond any doubt, Olivia Carter," the Empress said. "The commander was wrong about humans, as was Ivex," inclined her head, accepting the gentle rebuke. "From this day forward, you will work directly with Commander Vex as joint head of security," the Empress continued. "Your perspective, your different way of thinking has saved my life multiple times now. We need that perspective more than ever." Olivia bowed slightly. "I am honored, Your Majesty." Later that night, as Olivia returned to her quarters, Commander Vex accompanied her, a gesture of respect that would have seemed impossible just days ago. The commander was silent for a time, then spoke. "I misjudged your species," she admitted. "I believed strength came only in our form. I was wrong." Olivia smiled. "Different doesn't mean inferior, Commander. Just different. Each species has its strengths." Vex clicked her mandibles in what Olivia now recognized as thoughtful agreement. "There is much we can learn from each other." "It seems." Olivia nodded, but as she entered her quarters, her smile faded. The purist faction was still out there, planning, waiting. She had proven herself to the Royal Guard, but the greater challenge was just beginning. She had a feeling this was only the first battle in a much longer war. Finally, here's part 5. 2 weeks passed since the capture of Lieutenant Syra. The palace had settled into a new routine with Olivia working alongside Commander Vex to oversee security. Together they had implemented significant changes, rotating guard assignments more frequently, limiting information sharing and installing additional scanning systems. The interrogation of Syra and the captured assassins had revealed disturbing information. The purist faction was larger than anyone had suspected, with members throughout the military and government. They called themselves the True Zetharians and opposed any alliance with other species, especially humans. Empress Kylara had ordered a quiet investigation to identify all members of the faction before making any public announcements. She feared that moving too quickly might drive them deeper into hiding. Olivia sat in the security center reviewing reports when Commander Vex entered. The commander's attitude toward her had changed dramatically in recent weeks. From contempt to grudging respect to something approaching friendship. "We have a problem," Vex announced. "The Empress is insisting on proceeding with the diplomatic summit next week." Olivia looked up from her display. "With the purist faction still active, that creates significant security risks." Vex clicked her mandibles in agreement. "I have advised against it, but she is determined. The alliance with Earth is too important to delay. She says the diplomatic summit would bring representatives from all allied worlds to Zenith, including a large delegation from Earth. It would be the first major public event since the assassination attempts, the perfect target for the purists we need." To rethink the entire security approach, Olivia said. If the summit can't be postponed, we need to be unpredictable. Change everything. Our usual protection protocols guard rotations. Even the venue, if possible, Vex considered this. The Grand Hall has always been used for such events, she said. Tradition dictates it. Olivia smiled. Tradition is what they expect, Commander. We need to surprise them. For the next several days, Olivia and Vex worked tirelessly to prepare moving the summit to a secondary location. Within the palace was their first major change, followed by a complete revision of all security protocols. The Empress was hesitant to break with tradition, but ultimately agreed to their recommendations. 3 days before the summit, Olivia received an unexpected message. A human communication from the Earth delegation requesting her presence. Their ship had arrived early, and they were being housed in the diplomatic wing. Curious, Olivia made her way to the designated meeting room she hadn't expected to see anyone from Earth until the summit officially began. As she approached, she noticed the guards at the entrance were unfamiliar to her. Their posture seemed off, somehow too rigid, too alert. She slowed her pace. Activating her communicator, Commander, she said quietly. I need a verification on the diplomatic wing guards, 6th level section. See, there was a brief pause. No guard rotation scheduled there until evening. Vex replied. Why possible situation? Olivia murmured. Standing by. She approached the guards, casually hand near her concealed weapon identification. One of the guards demanded, Olivia Carter, Earth Security Liaison, she said. Presenting her credentials, I was summoned by the Earth delegation. The guard examined her credentials, then nodded, gesturing. Toward the door, his eyes never met hers, a subtle tell that something wasn't right. Zetharian guards were trained to maintain eye contact. As she entered the room, she immediately sensed the trap. The Earth delegation wasn't due for another day. There was only one Zetharian in the room, tall and imposing, wearing military insignia. Olivia recognized him from security briefings, General Kraz, commander of the Imperial Fleet, and suspected sympathizer with the purist faction, the human security advisor. The general said, his voice smooth. I'm pleased you responded to our invitation. Olivia remained near the door, assessing the situation. There was no Earth delegation, was there, she said. The general clicked his mandibles in amusement. Your reputation for perception is well deserved, he said. No. The humans are still en route. But I wanted to meet this remarkable creature who has gained such influence with our Empress. Olivia maintained a neutral expression. What can I do for you? General Kraz moved closer, towering over her. His 6 eyes studied her with cold calculation. You can deliver a message to your Empress. The alliance with Earth is a mistake. Humanity is young, aggressive, expanding too quickly. Your species will not be content with peaceful coexistence. For now, you need our technology, our protection. But once you have acquired what you need, you think we plan to betray you, Olivia said. The general clicked his mandibles. It is inevitable. The strong always seek to dominate. Tell the Empress to reconsider the alliance. There are many within the Empire who share my concerns. Many in positions of power. A thinly veiled threat. Olivia realized the general was revealing himself as part of the purist faction, but in a way that gave him deniability. The Empress believes the alliance benefits both our species, she said carefully. She values your counsel, General, but policy decisions remain her prerogative. Kraz made a sharp clicking sound. Her prerogative, yes. But even an Empress can be replaced. Now the threat was clear. Olivia tensed, ready for an attack, but the general merely gestured toward the door. Consider what I have said, human. Your species' survival may depend on it. Olivia left, maintaining her composure until she was well away from the diplomatic wing. Then she contacted Commander Vex, requesting an immediate meeting with the Empress in the secure command center. Olivia recounted her conversation with General Kraz. The Empress listened, her compound eyes unreadable. Commander Vex stood nearby, mandibles clicking in agitation. He all but admitted involvement with the purist faction, Olivia concluded, and threatened regime change. The Empress remained calm, though Olivia could see subtle changes in her color patterns indicating stress. General Kraz commands the loyalty of half the Imperial fleet, she said. If he openly opposes the alliance, many will follow him. We should arrest him immediately, Vex declared. The Empress raised one hand. On what charge? Speaking his mind, making vague statements that could be interpreted as threats. We have no proof of his direct involvement in the assassination attempts. Olivia understood the dilemma. Accusing a high-ranking general without concrete evidence could fracture the military, possibly triggering the very coup they feared. We need proof, she said, something that directly links him to the attacks or to Lieutenant. Vex clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. Syra has refused to name her co-conspirators, even under intensive interrogation. But perhaps there is another approach. The general will attend the summit as military representative. Olivia saw where Vex was heading. We create another opportunity. Another trap, precisely, the commander agreed. We leak information through channels the general would monitor. Suggest the Empress will use the summit to announce a major expansion of the Earth Alliance, including military integration. The Empress' compound eyes gleamed. The purists would never allow such an announcement. They would be forced to act. The trap was set over the next 2 days. Carefully selected information was leaked through secure channels. Information suggesting the Empress planned to announce a formal military alliance with Earth, including the placement of human officers aboard Zetharian warships. The purists' reaction was swift. Chatter increased across monitored channels. Security systems detected unauthorized access attempts to the summit plans. The day of the summit arrived. The Grand Hall had been prepared as publicly announced, but the actual event would take place in a smaller secondary chamber. Only those directly involved in security knew the truth. The Empress arrived early, surrounded by her most trusted guards, including Commander Vex. Olivia remained close, watching for any signs of threat. Delegations began arriving, representatives from allied worlds, including a small group from Earth. Olivia felt a strange mix of emotions seeing humans again after months among the Zetharians. They seemed so small, so fragile, compared to the towering blue aliens, yet they carried themselves with confidence. General Kraz arrived with his military attachés. His posture was rigid, controlled, but Olivia could detect subtle signs of tension in his movements. The way his secondary hands kept touching his ceremonial armor, the slight darkening of his skin around his neck. The delegations were directed toward the Grand Hall following tradition. Only at the last moment would they be redirected to the actual venue. Olivia and Vex exchanged glances. Their plan was working. So far, as the procession moved through the palace corridors, Olivia noticed one of the general's attaches drop behind, slightly hand-moving to a concealed pocket. She signaled to Vex, who nodded in acknowledgement. They had anticipated this. The attaché suddenly pulled out a weapon not aimed at the Empress but at the environmental controls. A disruptor designed to release toxins into the air filtration system. Vex moved with incredible speed for her size, tackling the attaché before he could fire. The weapon discharged harmlessly into a wall. Security swarmed around. The Empress' protective shields activating. General Kraz seemed genuinely surprised by the attack. Or was he simply surprised it had happened too soon? Before he was ready, in the confusion, Olivia kept her focus on the general. He was backing away, eyes darting toward an exit. She moved to intercept him. The general saw her coming. His expression hardened. "You," he snarled. "You have turned the Empress against her own kind, poisoned her mind with human ideas." Olivia stood her ground despite the general's imposing presence. The Empress makes her own decisions. "General," she said, "she believes in cooperation over isolation, progress over tradition." Kraz reached for his ceremonial blade, but guards surrounded him. Weapons raised. "By order of Empress Kylara, you are confined to quarters pending investigation." Commander Vex announced the general had no choice but to comply, though his eyes promised retribution. The summit was delayed, but not cancelled. The Empress refused to be intimidated, moving to the secure secondary chamber. She welcomed the delegates with calm authority. Over the next 3 days, evidence was gathered linking General Kraz to the purist faction. Data records, communications with Lieutenant Sira, financial transfers to known assassins. He had been careful but not careful enough. Eventually he confessed, hoping to receive mercy. His supporters in the military were identified and removed from command. A week after the summit concluded, Olivia stood beside Commander Vex in the throne room as the Empress delivered judgment. General Kraz and his co-conspirators were sentenced to exile on the outer colonies, a severe punishment for Zatharians who valued their position in society. When the throne room cleared, Empress Kylara addressed Olivia directly. "Your service has been invaluable, Olivia Carter," she said. "Without you, I might not be alive. The alliance with Earth might have failed." Olivia bowed slightly. "I merely did my duty, Your Majesty." The Empress made a sound that translated as, "Gentle amusement, more than duty, I think. You have shown my people that strength comes in many forms. That different does not mean inferior." She gestured to Commander Vex. "The commander has requested that our security exchange program be expanded. More humans training with the Royal Guard. More Zatharians serving on Earth." Vex clicked her mandibles in what Olivia now recognized as embarrassment. "Your methods are effective," she admitted. "And your perspective? Valuable." Olivia smiled. This from the commander, who had once dismissed her as a weak creature from a backwater planet. "I would be honored to help expand the program," she said, as she looked between the towering Blue Empress and the imposing commander. Olivia realized how much had changed, not just in their perception of humans, but in her understanding of the Zatharians. Behind their intimidating appearance and ancient traditions was a species capable of growth and adaptation just like her own. The purest faction had feared change, had clung to isolation as a form of strength. But the true strength of any species lay in its ability to evolve, to learn from others, to grow beyond its limitations. Olivia Carter had come to Zenith as an experiment, a diplomatic gesture. Now she stood as living proof that cooperation between different species created something stronger than either could achieve alone. And as the Empress outlined her vision for the future, one that included increased cooperation with Earth and other allied worlds, Olivia knew that she had helped shape not just the security protocols of a distant palace, but the course of interstellar relations for generations to come.